An all-female Blue Origin space crew with celebrities including Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez and Gail King has been hilariously mocked after it returned to Earth following an 11-minute trip into the Earth's atmosphere. Katy Perry jumped out of the aircraft and kissed the ground in a painfully cringe moment that has been roasted online.
Okay, you even see people like Wendy's the restaurant, completely roasting the heck out of Katy Perry for what she did. The backlash to this entire thing has been hilarious, but the people that aren't finding it very funny are people like Katy Perry and some of the other celebrities.
66 miles up, daylight fades into midnight in an instant. Astronauts call it the Kármán line. Poets call it the edge of forever. On the morning of April 14th, 2025, pop icon Katy Perry called it her new content studio. She floated through Blue Origin's New Shepard capsule, phone clenched like a lifeline, cheeks glowing brighter than the instrument panel. In barely 11 minutes, she carved her name into the unofficial hall of people who left Earth purely for the vibes, and the internet exploded. Half cheering, half jeering, all utterly transfixed. By lunchtime, hashtags were sparring like gladiators. By dinner time, meme accounts had stitched her zero-G grin onto everything from Mona Lisa to the moon landing. By midnight, South Park's creators were reportedly scrawling storyboards faster than the capsule fell back to terra firma. That's where we're headed today. The countdown, the clapback, and the cartoon roast poised to turn a multi-million-dollar dream into satire's favorite chew toy. Strap in, silence your notifications, and keep hands inside the commentary section. Because once this thing ignites, there's no safe way to bail. But first, how does a suborbital selfie become the single loudest argument on the internet?
Wendy posted, Wendy's, the fast food chain. Yeah. Can we send her back?
Oh!
Now Wendy's is refusing to apologize to the post, despite the backlash.
The celebrities like Katy Perry, who were sent on the stunning and brave girl boss mission into outer space for Blue Origin, are now having complete and total meltdowns over
They're treating her like she was in Nam. Where are my babies? My babies, like she was almost dead. Here's Katy Perry. Kisses the ground. Right. You were in such danger.
Before dawn, West Texas felt like the inside of a kiln. Dry, humming, ready to flare. 6 passengers suited up in royal blue flight suits, glossy enough to double as billboard ads. TV legend Gail King rehearsed sound bites about lifting women to the stratosphere. Activist astronaut Aisha Bowe tipped her helmet to a camera crew documenting every zip and buckle. Lauren Sanchez, helicopter pilot and fiancée of Jeff Bezos, live-streamed her pre-flight playlist, Wiz Khalifa's Reach for the Stars, bleeding into Perry's own hit E.T. Meanwhile, Katy warmed her vocal cords, not for an anthem to the cosmos, but for the inevitable onboard vlog.
And real astronauts are extremely intelligent scientists who've been tested to the limits of their physical and mental fitness. But this was really not women in space. It was stupid people in space. This was the lowest IQ space crew that has ever been launched from Earth.
the backlash that they've been receiving for the past 48 hours in response.
She too. Okay, kisses the ground. Somebody already, you should be kissing Oprah. Oprah's there. Kiss Oprah. She's worth far more to you than the ground. Thank you, Jesus. Truly, it's like they're right back from Nam.
Blue Origin's ground team calls these launches accessible inspiration, though the tickets are priced somewhere between a Hamptons bungalow and a Picasso sketch. New Shepard itself is a sleek, gumdropish tower built for suborbital hops, up hard, coast weightless, then down on parachutes all before the coffee and mission control cools. Engineers admire its reusable booster. Critics call it a billionaire's bouncy castle. Either way, the live stream pulls bigger numbers than most cable shows. T-0 hit like a thunderclap. The engine roared, the desert lit up, social feeds spiked. In the rear camera, the capsule's shadow shrank against the sand until it was a toy smudge. At 66 miles, high enough that blood would boil unprotected, thrusters cut, seatbelts popped, and 6 bodies unmoored from gravity. This is the overview effect, astronauts swear, a shockwave of humility when you see the planet cradled in black infinity. But humility doesn't trend, face-forward confidence does. Katy spun, angled her phone, and delivered. From cupcake bras to the cosmos, dream bigger.
Katy!
Woo! This commentator said, "Cool story. She got to ride in a rocket with other women."
What did they do?
That was one small step for womankind, one giant leap backwards for mankind, as far as I can see.
To this insane cringe that unfortunately we all had to suffer through. I mean, the cringe has been off the charts with this entire thing, and pretty much the entire internet hates what they did here.
Y'all, 3 minutes later, the capsule screamed back into dense air. Parachutes bloomed, dust kicked, and ground crews cheered. Bezos beamed, sponsors pumped press releases, and somewhere in Colorado, Trey Parker allegedly muttered, "Well, that writes itself." Yet the touchdown was only stage one. The real turbulence brewed online. It started innocently. A 15-second clip posted to Perry's 150 million strong Instagram army. She's floating, lips puckered, eyes glittering. Behind her, Earth curves like a sapphire bruise. The caption, "Weightless and speechless except for this selfie." Within minutes, the comment section split atoms. One follower typed ICONIC. Another replied, "Inspiring the next gene of astronauts." A third hammered, "Sis, look out the window, not the mirror." Memes landed faster than debris in a meteor shower. A side-by-side of Neil Armstrong's boot print and Katie's duck face circulated with the tag number Giant Leap 2.0. TikTok comedy channels lip-synced her audio while digitally replacing Earth with rotating sponsorship logos. Crypto coins, energy drinks, even nail salon chains. Late-night monologues wrote themselves. One host quipped, "NASA, need another selfie app?" Then came the think pieces. Climate bloggers calculated each passenger's personal carbon footprint, roughly a decade of average driving, burned in less time than a microwaved burrito. Feminist writers wrestled with whether to celebrate an all-female flight or condemn influencer culture. Space nerds argued over propellant chemistry in Twitter, threads longer than rocket nozzles.
Katy Perry was quoted as saying, "We're putting the ass in astronauts." Okay, all right. You go, girl. This is so...
This is why she needs empowering, because she keeps revealing her stupidity like that, and we have to boost her back up.
It is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space.
Katy Perry, I just want to congratulate you on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real.
Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my Lifetime's tour. By the way, it's Captain Perry now.
Katy watched the storm swirl and, true to brand, fired back. She stitched the harshest tweets into a montage, laid her single firework under it, and captioned, "Imagine dragging a woman for reaching for the stars. I float, therefore I am." Applause emojis flooded in, so did facepalm gifs. One headline screamed, "Pop star pulls the sexism card in 0G." The backlash doubled. Any hope of quietly celebrating a private milestone vaporized like ice on a heat shield. And where a social media meltdown boils, South Park smells barbecue. South Park built its empire torching sacred cows. Tom Cruise stuck in a closet. Disney depicted as a money-snorting mouse. Even Santa trading punches with Jesus. So, when a celebrity turns spaceflight into a TikTok backdrop, it's catnip. 3 days post-launch, Comedy Central's socials dropped a teaser, a cartoon rocket labeled Influence One, a pop star in a cupcake bra spacesuit squealing, "OMG, we're like literally star stuff," and Stan Marsh deadpanning, "Dude, space is cringe now." Speculation went nuclear. Fan forums dissected every pixel. Was that Lauren Sanchez piloting a ring light? Did the booster resemble Jeff Bezos' infamous Amazon logo spaceship from 2018's Unfulfilled? Reddit detectives noted the teaser's background included melted Botox syringes floating like jellyfish, an Easter egg for rumored plot lines where a mid-orbit cosmetic procedure goes sideways, face sliding off like candle wax in 0G. The South Park Discord crashed twice from traffic. Reporters dug deeper. Leaked call sheets hinted at guest cameos, maybe even Katy herself pulling a lose the battle, win the meme strategy. Entertainment lawyers were spotted entering Comedy Central HQ, either negotiating likeness rights or drafting defamation shields. Parker and Stone, elusive as ever, offered a single statement: "We're just glad space is still outside the MCU." Translation: prepare for comedy artillery. Still, satire is only lethal if the target is culturally flammable. Which begs a bigger question: why is the public so combustible over astro selfies in the first place? Rewind to 2021, when Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, and Elon Musk turned orbital headlines into a billionaire tag battle. Each promised democratized access. Each really meant a platinum-tier tourism pipeline. Since then, we've seen an auction seat go for $28 million, a sitcom actor cry on dissent, and a YouTuber propose mid-weightless flip. Spoiler, she said yes through a nausea bag. Virgin Galactic offers stratospheric hops on Spaceship Two for $450,000, one way to 5 minutes of bragging rights. SpaceX sells 3-day orbital cruises at a price comparable to a private island. Their words. A startup called Space VIP markets Michelin star dinners in low Earth orbit. Luxury jeweler Vacheron Constantin just announced a zero-G heritage watch. Yours for the price of a vacation home, launch included. Numbers soar. In 2022, 6 space tourist flights. In 2023, 9. By 2024, 16. Analysts predict the sector will balloon past $10 billion by 2030 if regulations and rocket supply chain keep pace. That growth invites marketing departments and publicists hungry for sky-high content. Every flight becomes a brand activation. Exclusive playlists, capsule-only couture, NFTs launched alongside passengers. The cosmos is turning into the most expensive green room ever built, but the higher you fly, the harsher the spotlight. Here's the math behind the magic. A single New Shepard burn consumes liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, yielding mostly water vapor. Sounds clean, until you factor in production emissions, freight logistics, and the cascade of single-use ground propellants. Independent studies peg the overall CO2 equivalent per passenger between 40 and 70 metric tons. For context, the average global citizen tallies about 4. Financially, Blue Origin cites confidentiality for ticket pricing, but credible leaks put Katy's seat around $2 million. Cheap compared to full orbital rides, but still eye-watering. Yet within 48 hours, her Instagram engagement jumped 12%. Spotify streaming spiked 9%, and her tour pre-sales leapt fast enough to nearly cancel out the seat price. Outrage, ironically, is an ROI engine. Every dunking tweet pushes her name up the algorithm, where casual listeners tap Teenage Dream out of nostalgia and hand over fractions of pennies that accumulate faster than rocket exhaust plumes. Now measure intangible costs. Public trust in scientific exploration. When the masses see space reduced to a vanity fair, legitimate missions, satellite climate monitoring, microgravity medicine, asteroid deflection tests lose oxygen in the media cycle. NASA's James Webb Images fight for timeline real estate against influencer boomerangs of floating hair. The message mutates. Space belongs to whoever can afford the ticket. Inspiration for some becomes alienation for many. And alienation is comedy gold for South Park's equal opportunity flamethrower. Historically, South Park parodies accelerate cultural fatigue. Mockery lands, public grows self-aware, trend withers. Think 2012's Honey Boo Boo Dissection. Reality TV ratings dipped soon after. Or 2023's Joining the Panderverse, which blasted Disney's reboot mania. Within months, Disney announced a slowing of live-action remakes. Correlation isn't causation, but satire can concentrate public annoyance into a single, memorable punch. If episode 4 of season 27 lands as hard as leaks promise, the celebrity, Space Race may hit a reputational ice wall. Sponsors could balk at being animated as skin-melting villains. PR teams will stress-test crisis plans involving weightless influencers. Even Blue Origin might throttle its VIP manifest until the heat dies down. Yet the paradox? Ridicule also cements legend. The moment you become a South Park caricature, you enter the cultural canon, the Mountain Dew of immortality. Britney in Britney's new look, Kanye with the fish sticks bit, Mark Zuckerberg blocking punches like a CGI Street Fighter cutscene. They're forever. Katy's face melting in zero-G guarantees her flight will outlive 1,000 earnest documentaries. Weeks after touchdown, Perry's Starstruck World Tour blasted off under a domed ceiling lined with LED constellations that pulsed to the baseline. Opening night merchandise featured a holographic badge, a cartoon Katy spinning in space with the caption, "I came, I floated, I filmed it." Boxes sold out before Song 3, critics predicted disaster. The opposite happened. News of South Nbund say shh. Park's looming roast pushed casual spectators into the fandom funnel. People bought tickets just to see if she'll mention it, creating viral FOMO loops. On stage, between songs, Katy leaned into the mic and purred, "You've seen the memes, you've heard the screams. Now watch me light this stage up like a booster engine." Audience roared. She teased a new documentary titled Gravity. Never heard of her, promising behind-the-scenes footage from the flight. Even haters bookmarked the release date. Curiosity beats contempt every time. Back online, a rumor surfaced, Katy negotiating to voice her own parody in the South Park episode, just like Elon Musk once cameoed on Rick and Morty. If true, she'd join the rare club of A-listers who choose to pilot the roast rather than be roadkill. Love her or loathe her. That's savvy. Still, one group remains unimpressed. Climate justice activists. They're planning a no rocket selfies campaign timed to future launches, a silent scroll day where users pause social media activity for 11 minutes, mirroring Perry's flight duration to highlight inequality. Whether it sticks is anyone's guess, but it proves backlash has legs beyond punchlines. Why did billions scroll past 1,000 other scandals only to latch onto this one? Because space used to symbolize collective achievement. Flag plantings, joint ISS missions, grainy black and white families cheering in living rooms. It belonged to everyone. When a single person commandeers that universal wonder for a profile pic refresh, the cognitive dissonance slaps hard. It's the same vertigo you feel when you see a flawless influencer sipping detox tea in front of a wildfire sunset. Space, by definition, dwarfs ego, but the selfie, by design, centers it. Social scientists call this a moral aesthetic collision. The brain can't reconcile grandeur and vanity occupying the same frame. We experience an almost physical cringe, then reach for commentary to relieve the tension. That's why snark floods timelines faster than facts. The joke ventilates discomfort. South Park weaponizes that impulse, stretching cringe to absurdity. Until laughter is the only exit. Blue Origin already eyes 2026 for its first orbital tourism hop. SpaceX plans lunar flybys with artists sketching Earthrise in real time. A hotel chain, Orbital Assembly, claims it'll spin up a space resort by decade's end, complete with a lounge bar that never closes because there's no sunrise. Will every trip birth another micro-scandal? Probably. Will we keep watching? Absolutely. We're hardwired to gawk at extremes. Highest, fastest, richest, loudest. Space tourism checks every box. But maybe the next chapter nets balance. Imagine content creators required to fund scholarships for each mile climbed, or rockets launching climate satellites alongside celebrity passengers. So spectacle subsidizes science. Imagine if Katy Perry's meltdown episode sparks a public-private. Race to Proof Space can be more than a selfie booth. South Park might scorch egos, but it also spotlights hypocrisy. Sometimes embarrassment is the catalyst progress needs. So here we are, one 11-minute joyride, an internet supernova, a looming animated execution, and debates hotter than rocket plasma. Did Katy Perry murder Wonder? Hardly. Space will survive. A few duck faces. But she did expose how thin the line is between exploration and exploitation. She proved that in an age where attention is currency, the final frontier can be swiped into a business expense. She reminded us that rocket engines aren't the only things that leave scorch marks. Public opinion does too, and its burn lasts longer. You decide what sticks: the empowerment narrative, the environmental reckoning, the meme agidon, or the possibility that all can coexist in messy, contradictory orbit. Comment your coordinates below. Are you team reach for the stars or team rich for the stars? Smash that like button if you still believe comedy keeps power honest, and hit subscribe. We'll keep watch on every payload of ego strapped to a booster, ready to report, roast, and maybe, just maybe, redistribute some of that spotlight back to the dreamers who stare up without a selfie stick. Until then, remember, in space, no one can hear you stream, but down here the comment section never sleeps, and neither do we.